What if I told you that discipline, the very thing you've worshipped, is not the key? That your early mornings, your cold showers, your endless journaling mean nothing without law? Would you listen? Have you ever wondered why you still drift even when you do the right things? Why you keep breaking your promises even when your will feels strong? Why success seems to touch others who are less disciplined than you? This speech will answer all of it. You will learn why the man who depends on discipline eventually breaks. Why effort without law collapses under pressure. Why your life will only change when you declare a standard higher than mood, stronger than motivation, and more permanent than willpower. Solomon didn't live by habit, he ruled by law. Ford didn't wait for inspiration, he built under command. Edison didn't check how he felt, he executed what he wrote. I will show you how to build your inner government, how to write your code, command your mind, and become unshakable. Because you don't need more discipline, you need law. And when you understand this, you'll never need to try hard again. You'll become the man law rewards. Introduction. Discipline will not save you. It will exhaust you. You can rise early, speak affirmations, resist temptation, and still live as a beggar. You can build routines, journal faithfully, schedule perfectly, and still drift. Why? Because you never wrote a law. You never declared a command your soul would obey no matter the cost. You're depending on willpower when you should be enforcing a covenant. Discipline is the appearance of structure, but law is structure enforced from within. A man of discipline moves when motivated. A man of law moves regardless. The world honors the second. It forgets the first. The man of law is not trying to hold it together. He has become the structure itself. His actions are not habits. They are orders. His day is not managed. It is commanded. Let me speak this plainly. You are exhausted because you are managing your behavior instead of declaring your destiny. You are trying to correct through effort what can only be ruled by law. Discipline bends under pressure. Law becomes harder under pressure. Law endures where discipline breaks. Look at the men you admire. Edison, Ford, Lincoln, Carnegie. Were they merely disciplined? Number. They were governed. They were kings of their own attention. They were masters of their own time. They wrote a law, then they enforced it. That is what made them untouchable. They lived as if they carried a constitution inside them, and they never broke it. The world today praises routines, morning rituals, hard work. But these are only shadows of something deeper. The true force is found in the man who removes emotion from execution. He does not rise early because it is popular. He does so because it is law. He does not write because he feels like it. He does so because it is law. He does not eat for pleasure, speak without reason, or waste an hour, because his law prohibits it. Law simplifies. It removes confusion. You feel tired because you still ask questions. Should I go to the gym? Should I work today? Should I finish what I started? But the man of law has no questions. He acts, not from feeling, not from debate, from declaration, from command. And understand this, the only man who becomes free is the one who enslaves himself to his own vision. Everyone else is a servant of opinion, of distraction, of failure. The man who writes law rules over himself. The man who does not becomes ruled by everything else. Now, I do not speak of laws made by politicians, by religions, or by trends. I speak of the law you write on your own soul, the law that governs your rising and your retiring, your planning and your execution, your speech and your silence. That law is who you are, and everything else is just noise. In this speech, I will teach you how to build that law. I will show you how to convert your discipline into rhythm, your mood into obedience, your energy into direction. I will teach you how to declare a standard for your life so high that failure cannot survive in its presence. And I will show you how Ford, Edison, Lincoln, and Schwab did not just push through, they obeyed law, and that made them immovable. The world is full of men who try hard, who grind, who burn out. but it is built by men who move without hesitation, who speak little, plan clearly, and execute daily as if it were already written, because to them it was. You are not here to perform. You are here to declare. You are not here to cope. You are here to command, and you are not here to wait for discipline to carry you. You are here to replace discipline with law. Declare this with me now. I do not rely on mood, I live by law. I no longer worship discipline, I write law and obey. My life is not managed, it is commanded. You have been lied to. You were told that waking early, writing in a journal, reading a book, and enduring hard things would make you powerful. But I have seen men rise at dawn and still live in mediocrity. I have seen men sweat daily yet never ascend, because what they did not have was law. Their discipline was movement without meaning. Their effort was performance without command. A man can act from pressure, or he can act from power. And you must ask yourself, what do you obey when no one is watching? Is it a schedule you saw in a book? A quote you posted to feel righteous? Or is it a law you have burned into your soul so deeply that breaking it would feel like betrayal? The man who lives by discipline questions himself daily. The man who lives by law cannot be moved. Discipline is what most men run to when they feel weak. But law is what few men write when they desire transformation. One depends on pressure, the other depends on identity. Discipline demands push, law commands pull. One must be enforced, the other enforces itself. Thomas Edison did not simply endure. He commanded his day. He lived by a strict structure of work, rest, experimentation, and review. Not because a coach told him to, but because his law demanded it. His law said, I am an inventor, and everything else had to obey that law. You are not exhausted because your task is too great. You are exhausted because you are trying to use discipline to do the work that only law can carry. You are dragging your soul through habit instead of transfusing your soul into identity. Discipline is maintenance. Law is transformation. And so I ask you directly, what are the laws you live by? Not your goals, not your ambitions, not your preferences, your laws. What rules govern your rising? What code rules your diet, your speech, your evening? What have you declared so sacred that no mood can interfere with it? You say you work hard, but do you work from law or from guilt? From vision or from habit? From devotion or from noise? Let me give you the image that will reshape your mind. Discipline is a soldier that must be commanded, but law is the king. If there is no king, the soldiers will fight aimlessly. They will move but not advance. They will burn but not conquer. Write your throne before you march your troops. There is a reason most men fall apart. They rely on accountability partners, on programs, on dopamine, but these are chains made of straw. When storm comes, they break. The man of law does not rely on outer motivation. His soul is bound to his law. He does not break when tired. He executes because his word is unbreakable. Edison did not achieve greatness through luck. He created over 10,000 prototypes, not because he was addicted to trying, but because his law demanded he show up. Every failure was fuel. Every misstep was recorded. He was not disciplined. He was governed. And what of you? You journal. But do you obey what you write? You rise early. But do you honor that time or merely perform it for pride? You read books. But do you extract law from them or just quote them for praise? I tell you this with clarity. Effort without aim is wasted energy. Strain without structure is punishment. Movement without a code is drift. You must no longer tolerate drift. You must convert your discipline into law or remain forever the man who performs but never ascends. Let me show you now how to begin. First, choose one behavior you know must become law. Perhaps it is waking at a fixed time. Perhaps it is studying your definite chief aim aloud each morning. Perhaps it is recording your wins and losses daily. Write it as a law. I rise each day at 5:30. I study my aim. I act with clarity. I do not delay. Do not ask yourself how you feel about it. Do not wonder whether it will work. Declare it and obey it for 30 days without exception. Then double it. Then triple it. In 90 days, you will become the man law rewards. Say these words with me now, not as motivation, but as declaration. Effort without aim is wasted energy. My actions are not forced. They are enforced by law. I no longer perform. I govern. Let us now go deeper. Let us build the throne from which you will no longer beg for change, but command it. No man is powerful without a central law, and no law is higher than the one you place at the top of your soul, your definite chief aim. All discipline must serve it. All structure must point toward it. Until this law is written, you are not yet a commander. You are still a servant of scattered will. Discipline is not the beginning of power. Declaration is. Discipline might make you consistent, but it will not make you certain. And certainty is the seed from which all empires grow. What you must understand is this: you cannot rise above the clarity of your aim. If your goal is vague, your path will be uncertain. If your aim is timid, your movement will be hesitant. But once your aim is definite, your day becomes sacred. Andrew Carnegie gave me one instruction that changed the entire course of my life. He said, "Young man, write your aim. Speak it aloud. Obey it like the law of God." He did not ask me to try harder. He commanded me to declare with force and then live according to that law no matter what. Most men avoid this because it forces them to choose. And when a man chooses, he must give up the comfort of drifting. Discipline allows you to feel good about working without facing the terror of declaring what you are working toward. But law demands clarity. Law exposes your vagueness and crushes it. Now listen carefully. Your definite chief aim must be specific in outcome, emotional in weight, commanding in tone, timeless in focus. It is not a wish, it is not a goal, it is a covenant. Let me show you the difference between a man of discipline and a man of law. The disciplined man says, "I will try to build a business." The man of law says, "I will build an enterprise that impacts 1 million lives and earns $10 million by the year 1929. The first hopes, the second commands. You must not merely write this once. You must study it like Scripture. You must recite it aloud twice daily, morning and evening, not as affirmation, but as command. Your subconscious mind will not obey what it hears once. It will obey what it cannot escape. Say it until it becomes breath. Say it until you feel foolish, and then say it until you feel undeniable. Let the repetition reshape your identity. Let the tone of it enter your bones. Let the spirit of it remove all distraction from your days. You say you want to be free, then you must declare what freedom means, and you must write it as law. Your aim is not for motivation, it is for alignment. If you do not know what you are building, you will build what the world feeds you. You will obey their schedule, their urgency, their fears. But the man who walks with written aim walks with powerful disobedience. Disobedience to drift, to noise, to the false urgencies of weak men. And remember this, your aim is not private. Speak it aloud so the world may measure you. Not because you need their praise, but because law is made public. Kings did not whisper their decrees, they proclaimed them. So must you. Speak now, not as a hopeful man, but as a man of command. I do not guess, I declare. My aim is law, and I bow to it. My morning begins with clarity, and my evening ends in obedience. I tell you, once this is done, your so-called discipline will no longer be needed, because now your days will be governed by a central law. When others wake up and wonder what to do, you will rise and execute what was already decided. Let us move forward. Let us write the non-negotiables that will support this law, your 5 commandments. What causes a man to hesitate, to worry, to falter in the middle of a worthy task? It is not pressure. It is not fatigue. It is option. Discipline can bring you to the task, but only law will remove the internal debate. Discipline says do it, but law says there is no other way. A man suffers because he still asks, he still weighs, he still debates with himself. But the man of law does not ask, he executes. He is not delayed by questions because his answer was written before the pressure began. And this, my friend, is the secret to true inner peace: eliminated choice. Most men think that more freedom means more options. But the wise know freedom begins when options are removed, when the path is narrow, when the command is final, when the law is written and no emotion can rewrite it. Discipline says, should I wake at 5 a.m. tomorrow? Law says, I rise before the sun because that is the law of my becoming. Discipline says, I should eat well today. Law says, I eat what fuels my aim, nothing more. One questions, one commands. You may remember the story of Abraham Lincoln. He was not the most skilled, he was not the most popular, but he carried a moral law within him that no pressure could bend. He faced entire armies, entire crowds shouting for compromise, and he moved forward as if led by an invisible hand. That hand was law, and it gave him peace in the fire. Now ask yourself plainly, what are you still debating that should already be declared? What part of your day still depends on your mood? What action is still subject to your energy, your comfort, your circumstances? That is where you must write personal law. You will do this in 5 domains. These are the 5 commandments that uphold your definite chief aim. Morning law. When do you rise? What must happen before the world can reach you? Thought law. What do you refuse to think? What will you meditate on instead? Speech law. What words will you eliminate? Gossip, doubt, small talk? What will you choose to declare daily? Time law. Where will your hours go? What are the non-negotiable tasks tied to your aim? Aim law. How will you ensure every act, every conversation, every plan feeds your vision? Each of these must be written with authority, not in pencil, not in vague language, but in lawful declaration, because the subconscious will only obey what you mean. And you do not mean anything that is still open for negotiation. Say this aloud. Peace comes when choice is removed. I do not ask how I feel. I obey what I wrote. My law frees me from the slavery of uncertainty. Imagine a builder on a job site. If he asked each morning what he felt like constructing, he would never complete the house. But if he shows up with a blueprint, and the blueprint becomes law, then every brick is placed in purpose, every nail driven with certainty. That is how a life is built. You are not here to improve. You are here to declare war on uncertainty. You are here to replace choice with code. You are here to move from being a man of discipline to a man of law. You must stop living like a man who tries. You must begin living like a man who enforces. From now on, the law you write is the only voice that matters. And the man who follows it, without fail, will not only have peace, he will have power. Let us continue. Now that you have written law, you must understand where that law comes from. Not from outer discipline, but from inner authority. Any man can be made to obey when watched, but the man of law obeys even in solitude. Discipline is imposed. Law is embraced. Discipline seeks reward. Law is the reward. And the tragedy of modern man is that he mistakes momentary effort for mastery, when true mastery only comes when law is written on the soul. You may be trained into discipline. You can be ordered by a superior, coerced by a coach, forced by a deadline. But you are never free until you govern yourself, until your standard is not echoed from without, but declared from within. The man of law needs no overseer, for he is governor and subject, judge and soldier at once. Discipline can come from pain, shame, fear. But law only comes from decision. Law comes when you say, this is who I am, and this is what I do, regardless of weather, mood, emotion, or reward. It is the quiet power of a man who no longer negotiates with himself. When Charles Schwab became the steel magnate under Carnegie, it was not because he was told what to do. It was because he had become a man who told himself what to do and then obeyed. He followed orders, but they were his own. He was not ruled. He ruled himself. That is law. Now consider your own life. Ask, what do I do only when watched? What do I stop doing when no one applauds? That is where discipline rules, and law is absent. And wherever law is absent, drift will enter. A man of discipline will rise early one day and sleep in the next. He will train when motivated and quit when tired. He will write when the mood is right and abandon his vision at the first resistance. But the man of law does not think of himself as tired. He does not wonder if today is hard. He does not hope he feels ready. He obeys. Say this aloud. I am the judge and the servant of my own law. What I declare, I do. I am not ruled from outside. I rule from within. If a man does not write his own law, he will always be subject to the law of another. And you see it everywhere. Men living by alarm clocks, orders, programs, routines, not because they chose them, but because someone else did. And when that outer pressure is removed, they collapse, because they had no spine of their own. You are no longer that man. You must now shift from one who needs rules to one who writes them, from one who borrows structure to one who builds it, from one who waits to be told to one who tells himself. This is not self-help. This is sovereignty. Write it clearly. I declare law for my life. My word is structure. My code is my crown. And know this, once law is written, your life will feel lighter, not heavier, because true law eliminates guilt. It eliminates confusion. It eliminates the dragging weight of decision fatigue. There is no more asking, no more checking, no more bargaining, only execution. A man of law walks in clarity. He sleeps in peace, because what he did today was written yesterday, and what he will do tomorrow is already chosen. He does not wake in uncertainty. He wakes in obedience to what is already decided. And the reward, freedom, strength, vision, consistency that outlives mood, legacy that outlasts motivation. You become untouchable, not because of force, but because of alignment with your own command. Let this truth enter you fully. The world does not move for the man who tries. It moves for the man who obeys the law he himself has written. You are not here to try harder. You are here to enforce what is already true within you. Let us move forward. Now that you rule from within, we must ask, what happens when pain comes, when fatigue arrives? That is the next test. And that is where discipline ends and law endures. There comes a moment in every man's life when strength fails, when fatigue whispers lies, when motivation vanishes like mist in the sun. And in that moment, discipline, if it stands alone, falls. Because discipline depends on effort, but law depends on identity. And identity does not bend under pressure. It commands. A man who lives by effort alone asks himself, do I feel like it? A man of law no longer asks. He executes, because the command has already been given, and no storm, no ache, no emotion may override it. He has transcended effort and moved into enforcement. Look to the life of Thomas Edison. He worked through fever. He worked while mocked. He worked while the world laughed at his so-called failures. But he did not stop, because he was not operating on discipline. He was obeying law. The work was not optional. It was declared. It was written. You must become this man. You must decide once and then enforce forever. The world tells you to rest when weary. I tell you, rest only when the law permits. Not your mood, not your mind. The law, the rhythm you have written, the standard you have sworn to. Write this into your being. Even when I am tired, I obey. Law does not bend for mood. I move through pain not because I feel like it, but because I am ruled by law. Understand this clearly. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the proving ground of law. For what good is your code if it lives only in comfort? What value is your aim if it evaporates in adversity? The man of law tightens his grip when most loosen theirs, and in that moment he ascends. Do not mistake this for stubbornness. This is not blind rigidity. This is purpose. This is a man whose vision has become flesh, a man whose words are not poetry, but commands. A man who says, this is who I am, and therefore this is what I do, without exception. And here is the paradox. The man who enforces law upon himself gains energy from the very enforcement. He does not grow weaker from repetition. He grows stronger. Why? Because his soul begins to trust him. His mind stops questioning. His emotions stop resisting. All forces align behind his single command. This is why so few succeed, not because they are incapable, but because they renegotiate their law when it hurts. They rewrite their standard in the face of resistance, but not you. You do not alter the contract when the storm arrives. You grip it tighter. Say it aloud now. I do not change the law when it gets hard. I enforce the standard, especially when pain arrives. The greater the pressure, the deeper my law is carved. This is how legacy is built, not by ease, not by excitement, but by unyielding repetition under weight. You are not building habits. You are not building goals. You are building self-government. And when that structure is complete, no man, no market, no mood can dismantle it. Let me ask you directly, who will you be when you are exhausted? What identity will remain when no one applauds, no one thanks you, and no result appears? That is the man you must build now, because that man will carry you when your flesh would quit. And that man is not built by discipline. He is built by law. You must write your law while calm, so that you may obey it in chaos. You must speak your command in silence, so that you may enforce it in the storm. This is your advantage. This is your crown. This is what separates the real builders from the pretenders. You are no longer at the mercy of your motivation. You are not a slave to your stress. You are the lawmaker. And when you live this way, your power compounds, because now everything you do reinforces your identity, and your identity is built to endure. Let the world tire. Let others collapse. You will rise through law, and the fire that consumes others will be the fire that tempers you into steel. We now move to a higher plane, where the man of law no longer requires even motivation, because the structure is so internalized that obedience becomes instinct. Let us go forward. Motivation is a guest that arrives when it pleases. Law is a master that remains through all seasons. The man who relies on feeling is a wanderer. The man who lives by law is a builder. And builders do not pause for mood. They rise because they said they would. They execute because the structure commands them to. You must now begin to feel this shift inside your character. You no longer require the fire of inspiration. You are the fire. You are no longer hunting for reasons to act. You act because it is written. This is the beginning of true liberty, because you are no longer managed by anything outside of your own covenant. Henry Ford did not build an empire on good mornings. He did not wait for excitement to craft engines and visions. He moved because he had declared, I will build a motor car for the multitude. That was law. That was command. And every action thereafter was obedience to that one sentence. Ask yourself now, what sentence rules you? What word have you written so deeply into your spirit that it no longer wavers? You cannot live freely until you answer this. You cannot build power until your structure commands itself. Say it. I do not motivate, I obey. My behavior is not emotional, it is ordered. I live by the command I declared. This is how warriors are formed. This is how kings are made. Not by cheering crowds or fleeting emotion, but by internal architecture. You must become the structure. You must become the law. For when your character is fused to law, nothing can separate you from action. The reason most men fail is not because they are lazy. It is because they are led by mood. And mood is treacherous. Mood is seduction. Mood is soft. Law is sharp. Law does not care how you feel. Law simply declares this is what we do. And then it demands execution. You must now design your day so that there is no friction between the moment you wake and the action that follows. There must be no debate, no wondering, no deciding. You already decided yesterday. You already wrote the standard. Today is not for thinking. It is for obeying. This is how you become a force. You no longer wait for the right time. You no longer seek the right feeling. You no longer ask, should I? You simply execute, because law has already answered. You must now build rituals, sacred moments, ordered hours. These are not suggestions. These are not tasks. These are laws. And the more you repeat them, the more they become identity. And the man who lives in identity no longer wastes energy asking who he is. He knows. And that knowing moves mountains. Do not underestimate the power of simple obedience. A man who obeys one law with totality is more powerful than a man with 50 good intentions. Simplicity is strength. Repetition is dominance. Obedience to law is sovereignty. Say it now. I have written my law. Now I obey it without emotion. My motivation is irrelevant. My law is everything. I rise because it is written. I execute because it is who I am. From this moment forward, let this be your command. Nothing I do is optional. It is written, and therefore it is done. And with each act of obedience, your soul will grow quieter. Your stress will lessen. Your chaos will yield. Because now, you know who you are. You are governed. Let others search for motivation. Let others chase inspiration. You will build law. You will become law. And from that structure, you will command wealth, command peace, command legacy. We now advance to the place where identity becomes destiny, because what you repeatedly obey shapes who you become. You do not become great by accident. You do not rise through scattered effort or temporary drive. You become great by structure. You become who you are by what you obey repeatedly. And the law you choose to enforce today becomes the destiny you live out tomorrow. A man is not defined by his dreams, but by his discipline toward those dreams. And discipline alone is not enough. It must be tied to a written standard that does not bend. It must be law. For what you repeat daily, without permission from feeling, becomes your unshakable identity. When Napoleon Hill was commanded by Andrew Carnegie to write the philosophy of success, he did not wait until he felt ready. He did not wait for clarity. He obeyed the vision. He declared a law and submitted to it through poverty, through ridicule, through obscurity. That obedience forged his identity. It is no different for you. If you obey chaos, you become it. If you obey delay, you live it. But if you obey law, you rise above drift. You become the man who no longer apologizes for what he is, because what he is has been forged by standard. Say this with strength: I become what I repeatedly obey. Law rewrites the man until he commands destiny. I do not drift. I move under divine structure. Your character today is the echo of what you tolerated yesterday. Your future tomorrow is the song of what you obey now. This is not poetry, it is law. You must now decide what kind of echo you want to send forward. Will your name be a whisper or will it be a pillar? Identity is not found, it is built. It is not gifted, it is declared. You must now live as if your entire fate depends on the law you speak into the mirror each morning, because it does. The most dangerous lie is this: I will become who I am meant to be. Number you will become what you command yourself to become. No man drifts into greatness. No man stumbles into excellence. All who rise have first written the law within. You will now build a ritual of identity. Every morning, speak your law aloud. Every night, review your law in writing. Every hour, align your decision to that law. And if you fail, begin again with more force, more repetition, and zero apology. The world cannot resist a man who obeys his own law. He is rare, he is frightening, he is immovable. While others ask, ponder, debate, he moves. While others search for answers, he acts from conviction. And it is conviction, not talent, that builds legacy. Edison did not become Edison because he tried harder. He became Edison because he did not negotiate. He acted in law while others questioned. And that rhythm, day after day, became the identity that changed the world. You now understand, obedience is not weakness. It is the highest form of mastery. The man who obeys his own law is already free. He does not ask for permission. He is the authority. He does not wait for clarity. He moves as clarity. Say it. I no longer hope, I become. I no longer try, I live. My law is my identity. My identity is my fate. Let this part be the mirror you never forget. You will become nothing greater than what you consistently obey. Write your standard. Burn it into your mind. Let no hour go unaligned. And if the old self rises, slay him with obedience to the new law. This is your turning point. The man you were is over. The man you are becoming has no tolerance for guessing, for pleasing, for wandering. He has declared law, and he will become it in full. Let us continue. There is a point where discipline breaks. You have seen it. You have felt it. That moment where the will weakens, the motivation fades, and the day overwhelms you. And in that moment, the man without law quits. He negotiates. He delays. And eventually, he vanishes from his own path. But the man of law is different. His path is not powered by feeling. It is powered by command. He does not rise by accident. He rises because he cannot do otherwise. His days are not options. They are orders. His life is not an experiment. It is a structure. And that structure is unbreakable. You may begin with discipline. That is good. But you must finish with law. Discipline is a good servant, but a poor master. It will work for you until it grows tired. But law does not tire. Law does not ask. Law does not care if you are afraid, uncertain, sad, or weary. Law moves forward and brings you with it. The reason most men fall is not lack of ability. It is lack of structure. They have no internal government, no personal constitution. They rely on energy and inspiration instead of written command. And when their feelings betray them, as they always do, they fall with them. Edison did not survive thousands of failures because he was disciplined. He survived because he was obedient to law. His goal was fixed. His hours were structured. His identity was tied to his process, not to the applause of others. He obeyed what he had declared. That is why he built what others only imagined. You must now accept this. The man who writes his law and obeys it becomes invincible, because nothing outside him can sway what is enforced within. His strength is not public. It is private. His power is not shouted. It is structured. And that structure is what holds his destiny in place. You want to transform? Then stop leaning on effort. Stop measuring energy. Start building law. You want to change your body? Then write the command. At this hour, I train. No debate. You want to build wealth? Then write the command. These 2 hours I build. No excuse. You want to master your voice? Then write the command. I rehearse daily, whether I feel like it or not. Your life is waiting for structure. Your future is waiting for law. The kingdom you imagine will not be built by scattered motivation. It will be built by divine repetition. Speak it, obey it, repeat it, build it, and become it. Say this now and write it down. I am not disciplined, I am commanded. I live by what I wrote, not what I feel. I no longer drift, I enforce law. And if you fall, return to law. That is the difference. The disciplined man falls and asks why. The lawful man falls and returns to structure. his code is still standing, and that code brings him back into power. The men who built history lived by law. Moses brought tablets. Solomon ruled by command. Jesus quoted scripture. Lincoln acted from moral code. Edison moved by structure. Ford executed vision without needing applause. Schwab enforced order with quiet repetition. They were not just dreamers. They were builders of law. You want to join them? Then you must write your law and obey it with finality. No longer guess. No longer feel your way through each day. No longer ask permission from your mood. Declare the standard and become the man who enforces it. Let me give you your task. Write your definite chief aim again, but this time tie it to 5 daily laws. 1 law for your body, 1 law for your work, 1 law for your speech, 1 law for your thoughts, 1 law for your time. Then enforce those laws, not when it's easy, not when you feel ready, every single day. If you fall, return to them. If you rise, add to them. And in 90 days, the man you were will no longer exist. Discipline is the start. Law is the finish. Now act like the finisher, obey like the builder, and rise like the one who does not need to be pushed, because he commands himself from within. Let us continue. Many begin with fire. Few finish with foundation. Many wake at dawn for a week, build for a month, discipline their habits for a season. But then fatigue visits. Confusion creeps in. The storm howls louder, and the man without law returns to drift, unsure why the spark is gone. Because fire cannot survive without structure. Effort alone is a flame, but law is the furnace. Law holds the fire and channels it to build. And when the wind comes, the lawful man does not panic. He does not waver. His fire is enclosed by his own design, because he lives by a written command stronger than doubt, emotion, and temptation. The man of law no longer needs to decide daily who he is. That question was answered the moment he declared it and enforced it. He does not seek identity, he repeats it. He does not chase results. He executes the rhythm that creates them. This is the final message I must give you. Stop worshiping discipline. Start writing law. Stop relying on inspiration. Start declaring structure. Stop asking your mood what you should do. Obey what your higher self has already written. And here is what you must now do. No delay, no exception. Write your definite chief aim. 1 sentence, 1 clear target. Write it in blood and stone. This is the outcome that justifies the fire. Define 5 daily laws to uphold it. Law of waking. What time? Without fail. Law of building. What task? At what hour? Law of word. What shall I say and not say? Law of thought. What will I entertain? What will I refuse? Law of review. When do I audit myself? Daily? Weekly? Never miss it. Speak your aim every morning. Read it aloud as a command, not as a wish, not as a prayer, as a military order. Remind your mind who is in charge and who is becoming. Track your obedience. Daily review. Did I live my law? Did I break it? Why? And how will I return with more force tomorrow? Do this for 90 days and no delay, no resets, no I'll start Monday. Begin today. 1 command broken may happen, but 2 in a row is rebellion. Stay in alignment. If you do this, you will no longer be ruled by others. You will no longer ask the world to save you. You will no longer drift in fog, lost in emotional weather, because your law becomes your internal compass. Your law becomes your unshakable frame, and your law becomes your lineage of legacy. Now say this with me, and say it as one who commands, not one who wishes. I live by law, not effort. Discipline is my servant, law is my king. I obey my word until I become unbreakable. I do not check how I feel, I enforce what I wrote. My standard does not shift, my law does not sleep, my future does not drift. Let them doubt you, let the weak mock you, let the old self cry, but the man who lives by law will not die forgotten. He will not be buried with excuses. He will be remembered by results, because he did not flinch, he did not guess, he did not delay. He wrote the law and became the man who obeyed it until the world obeyed him. And so I leave you with one final truth. Discipline will bring you to the door, but law will build the house and make you fit to live inside it. Now go. Write it, obey it, enforce it, and become the man law rewards.